And welcome. This is Mary Ellen McGonagle with your Friday afternoon MEM Edge show brought to you from beautiful Las Vegas. I am at the Traders Expo, and it's been quite interesting meeting with investors. And certainly it has been very interesting in the broader markets as well. We're going to dive right in. First, let's take a look at some of those headline news that drove price action last week. And certainly Wednesday was very pivotal. It was when the Federal Reserve released the notes from their most recent meeting. And as kind of expected is the fact that they came out and the Fed is not ready to consider cutting interest rates quite yet. Inflation remains elevated. So the response was tepid, but not positive. And that came to us on Wednesday. Now, of course, even more impactful than that were Wednesday afternoon's report of earnings from Nvidia, highly anticipated, very market impactful. I'll share with you the deceleration in the markets going into that report and the very sharp reversal that took place beyond that. In essence, Nvidia's report really told investors that AI is here and it is being monetized, certainly with Nvidia. So I'll share with you an add-on trade there as well. And then also we will have news next week, highly impactful inflation data. PCE numbers are going to be released. So that is something to be on the lookout for. So from here, let's go ahead and take a look at those markets, see where did we close for the week and beyond. And here we are. This is a daily price chart of the S&P 500. And here we are with Thursday's gap up again in response to Nvidia's strong numbers. And the markets have hit another new high. We also have positive momentum by way of that RSI above 50 and trending higher. And then the MACD also above 50 and in positive territory. So that near-term uptrend, while we did waffle a bit, certainly following the FOMC meeting notes being released and going into those numbers, we have recovered back above that 10-day simple moving average. So we are in good standing with the broader S&P 500. Now, let's go ahead and take a look beyond. As always, it's really important that you have a good sense beyond the broader markets, where those money flows are shaping up. You want to know where that relative strength is there. And from there, you do want to, of course, have that ability to participate. So last week, we did see a continuation of what took place the prior week, and that is continued money flows into areas that are more defensive. Technology did stumble yet again. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. This is a 2-month daily price chart view of the 11 sectors in the S&P 500. I've added this RSI indicator so that these sectors are sorted by relative strength. And as always, we're on the lookout for sector movement, whether from this strong upper quartile down lower, or oppositely, we want to be on the lookout for those sectors down in this lower quartile that are moving toward the strength. So let's take a look at some of these top areas. Certainly, healthcare remains in a very confirmed uptrend. This is XLV. This sector was up less than the broader markets, but there was a sub-industry group too, actually, that outperformed within healthcare that we will get into. I'll share that with you in that next segment. Also, industrials continuing to outperform. Take a look at this move as it relates to finding support at an upward trending 10-day simple moving average. This group was up 1.9%. I will share with you a name from the industrial sector that's actually an add-on to Nvidia and the strength in AI-related stocks. Moving through, I do want to share with you as well on the weak side, technology. And here is that pullback going into, again, all impactful Nvidia report, but there's also a sub-industry grouping in technology that stumbled last week. I'll share with you that group and why. But given the strong results. We did see a nice reversal, tech back in an uptrend above these shorter term moving averages. So we're back in good standing, but relative performance, the tech group was up 1.3 relative to that S&P up 1.8%. Other sectors to be aware of with this grouping is the fact that basic material stocks are on the move. Take a look. We have now positive RSI. We have this nice MACD crossover. A lot of this is earnings related, and metals in general are on the move higher. So from here, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these sub-industry groups that are underlying these sectors to get a better feel for, again, where that strength is currently shaping up in these markets. And here we are. I talked about healthcare in a strong uptrend. IHI, this is the medical devices ETF, and it was up 2.1%. Again, earnings and earnings estimated going higher. So we are seeing vibrancy here, nice base breakout into an uptrend. Other groups on the move higher last week, XHB. This is the S&P 500 Homebuilders group, up 3%. Earnings driven. I'll share with you two names from this group. Of note is the fact that we did experience another black line up through the red MACD crossover, indicating a new uptrend. However, you will need to be selective. It's not the entire group that is faring well. So we'll take a look at a couple of names in that area. Also on the move higher in healthcare, this is IBB, that biotech ETF, up 1.8%. And you can see that we're continuing to form the right side of a base, poised for a nice base breakout. But of note from my work is the fact that we just this week have that black line up through the red in a nice MACD crossover, confirming this new uptrend. And then we can also see that nice positive RSI. And this is an area that I've talked about similar to other groups where the underlying stocks, particularly in biotech, most of them are not yet reporting earnings. They're in that development stage. So rather than, if you are not inclined to dig in, you can play this nice new uptrend simply by purchasing an ETF. We can see that we're in that nice uptrend there. Also of note, we do want to take a look at semiconductors, SOXX, up in line with the markets. But again, we can see this is that gap up on Nvidia's earnings. One area that did falter quite a bit last week in this tech area is software stocks. Take a look, a bit of a waterfall appearance here. We can see that we closed on Wednesday below that 50-day simple moving average. And while we've recovered, it's been very nominal. And we have that RSI on the cusp of turning positive, not quite there yet. As we move through, I will share with you, actually, we can take a look at it here at a company that came out with numbers. And this is one of the reasons for the weakness in software stocks. Palo Alto, this is a major cybersecurity stock. You can see this big tumble. And really, it was all about the company's announcement. They guided growth estimates lower going into the remainder of this year. But the primary reason for that is because they are changing their model as far as how they are presenting their services. And they also are going to be doing a lot of promotional work. So they're lowering the pricing of their products. But it really did impact other, certainly cybersecurity software stocks also. So that is certainly one reason. The other reason, let's go ahead back to our sub-industry groupings here and take a look at the yield on that 10-year treasury. This is TNX if you want to keep tracking on this, but we can see that the yield did close at 4.2, but we do remain somewhat elevated, close to that 4.3 level. And when you look back at periods when interest rates are on the rise, you'll note that software stocks in general are highly sensitive to a rising interest rate environment. And this is all about the fact that their future earnings are going to be lower due to a rising rate environment. So two factors there, and hopefully we can get that software group back on the move higher. So from here, I did mention that we would take a look at a couple of home builders name. First up, I do want to share with you Toll Brothers, TOL. This is a company that actually came out with earnings that were quite constructive last week. Let's take a look at what shaped up after Toll Brothers came out with their numbers. I'm going to mark this chart up because what we experienced was a gap up into a nice base breakout. Take a look at that high volume, lots by way of accumulation, and then a nice continuation rally. So very constructive price action. Also of note is that black line up through the red with that MACD. So a very attractive looking stock. The other name that I did want to share with you is a smaller company in this home building space, DFH. This is Dream Finders. And they do, in fact, cater to first-time home buyers. You can see this nice downtrend reversal shaping up as the stock moves further above its shorter-term moving average, poised for a nice base breakout at that 37 level. And take a look, that MACD crossover again indicating a new uptrend, nice high volume characteristics as it forms the right side of the base. Now, I do want to take a look here and share with you a view of Nvidia. For those of you that feel that you may have missed, certainly that was a super strong rally that we saw take shape after the release of their earnings. And what you can do that can be really helpful as far as identifying an entry point is go ahead and drill down into an intraday chart. So first up here, we are looking at a 15-minute chart. Here we are with that gap up in response to earnings, nice continuation rally, and then another gap up into the open today. However, it did fizzle into the close. So what you're going to be on the lookout for if you are interested in participating in Nvidia's certainly outsized growth prospects and the possible continuation of its current uptrend is keep an eye out on this 15-minute on this MACD. And if we can get that black line up through the red, indicating a new uptrend, you'll also want to see the stock move back above the 5 and 13 simple moving average, get that RSI back into positive territory. And in fact, we could see certainly further upside based on that. From here, I do want to share with you how the markets ended the week, because we certainly had a wobbly period. And of note, quite quickly, this is something you can do on a regular basis. I certainly do. Take a look at these top performers on a given day within the S&P 500. So here we are after the close, the names that were up the most today. And I'm going to go ahead and share with you this candle glance view. And what you'll see is, as far as buying activity today, a lot of bottom fishing. It's not these names that have hit new highs. We have a lot of names out there that are overbought. They've had significant moves into this third week of the second month. So if we take a look at some of these downtrend reversals that are shaping up, I did want to share with you what you'll need to see, certainly from my work, before participating. Let's take a look at Adobe, ADBE, nice software name that really fell out of bed here. This was all about AI-related stocks not faring well in the face of OpenAI announcing new products that are going to compete. And certainly Adobe is going to be a company that's going to be very closely watched, but also very negatively impacted by their new product developments. So we can see this waterfall move. The stock has found support above this upward trending 200-day moving average. However, these high volume characteristics indicate distribution. So if you are of a nature where you buy stocks on these dips, what I wanted to highlight to you is, let's go ahead and blow this chart up a little. And let's take a look at this period in May of last year. And I will highlight the characteristics necessary in order for this downtrend, potential downtrend reversal to shape up. So if we go back again to this May period, first up, we will need to see the stock, this is Adobe, break back above each of these moving averages, and most profound will be above that 50-day simple moving average. And in conjunction with that move above those moving averages, let's get that RSI up in positive territory, trending upward, and then also that MACD. Now, you will experience oftentimes a MACD crossover, but once it gets into positive territory, that's going to be your key. So what I'll do here very quickly is mark up those common characteristics, really highlighting what we need to see, hopefully. See if I can, it's going to be that second line here. So it's going to be as these characteristics shape up and line up. Let's see if I can get rid of that first line. Well, of note here again is that RSI in positive territory, trending upward. The price really moves above these moving averages, and then we get that MACD trending upward and into positive territory. So if we take a look at Adobe at this point in time, while it might be compelling to nibble on the stock, from my work, we does still have quite a bit to do before it really enters a new solid uptrend. And that's it for this week, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I'm going to be on the lookout for you here again next Friday.